The ocean appears calm, almost eternal, but beneath its shimmering surface, a forgotten world waits in silence. Above it, something impossible rides a wind. No bird has ever looked like this. No creature alive today carries a crown like its own, even after more than 80 million years. Its greatest secret remains unsolved. This is not merely the story of a flying reptile. It is the story of one of evolution's boldest experiments and a sky that no longer exists. "85 million years ago, North America looked nothing like the continent we know today. An immense inland sea stretched from the Arctic Ocean to the Gulf of Mexico, dividing the land into two great continents. Warm tropical waters shimmer beneath an endless sky, nurturing one of the richest marine ecosystems the Earth has ever known. And above those ancient waves, where the sea met the wind, an extraordinary silhouette drifted almost effortlessly through the air. Life flourished here on an unimaginable scale. Beneath the surface, ancient fish gathered in shimmering schools. Giant ammonites drifted with the currents, while predators of terrifying size hunted in the blue depths below. This inland sea was not simply an ocean, it was an entire world. And high above its endless horizon, one remarkable flyer had mastered a realm where few others could survive. Unlike the birds that would one day inherit the skies, this creature belonged to a far older dynasty. It was neither dinosaur nor bird, but one of the last great pterosaurs, a lineage that had ruled the air for more than 100 million years. Yet even among these extraordinary flyers, one species stood apart from all the rest. Its wings stretched across the wind with astonishing efficiency. Every movement seemed effortless. Every current became an invisible road across the sky. It wasted almost no energy, traveling vast distances above an ocean that offered neither rest nor shelter. Survival depended not on strength, but on mastering the invisible language of the wind. Then, the sunlight revealed what no living animal has ever possessed. Rising from the back of its skull was an enormous crest, shaped like the letter L, a structure so strange that even today, scientists continue to debate its true purpose. Was it a display to attract a mate? A signal visible across vast distances? Or could it have served a purpose that has been lost forever with the passage of time? Whatever its function, Nyctosaurus carried one of evolution's most extraordinary anatomical experiments into the skies of the Late Cretaceous. But the crest was only the beginning. The deeper scientists looked, the stranger Nyctosaurus became. Some creatures evolved to survive, others evolved to redefine the impossible. Nyctosaurus was one of them. To understand Nyctosaurus, we must first abandon the idea that it resembled a bird. Its body followed an entirely different blueprint. Every bone, every joint, every proportion tells the story of an evolutionary path unlike anything alive today. It belonged to a lineage that solved the challenge of flight in its own remarkable way. Unlike birds whose wings are built from many shortened fingers, the wing of Nyctosaurus depended almost entirely on a single, astonishingly elongated forefinger. This immense skeletal beam stretched outward like the frame of a sail, supporting a vast membrane of skin, muscle, blood vessels, and collagen fibers. Every movement of that membrane transformed invisible air into lift. Perhaps even more extraordinary was what Nyctosaurus no longer possessed. Most pterosaurs retain 3 small clawed fingers at the front of each wing. Nyctosaurus had almost completely lost them. Its hands had become so specialized for flight that nearly every unnecessary structure had disappeared through millions of years of evolution. Evolution rarely creates perfection. Instead, it produces countless experiments, each shaped by the relentless pressures of survival. Nyctosaurus was one of evolution's most daring designs. Every unnecessary gram had been stripped away. Every anatomical feature had been refined for one purpose: to remain effortlessly suspended above an endless sea. Its body was remarkably light, its bones hollow yet surprisingly strong, like the framework of a modern aircraft. Strength came not from solid mass, but from intelligent internal architecture. Millions of years before humans ever dreamed of flight, nature had already solved many of the same engineering challenges. Unlike birds, Nyctosaurus relied less on constant flapping and more on the invisible architecture of the atmosphere itself. Rising columns of warm air, steady ocean winds, and subtle pressure differences became highways across the sky. What appeared effortless was, in reality, a masterpiece of aerodynamic precision. With only the slightest adjustments of its wings, it could travel enormous distances while conserving precious energy, a vital advantage over an ocean where food was scattered and safe places to rest were almost non-existent. For decades, scientists debated whether such a specialized body came with hidden costs. Could Nyctosaurus still walk efficiently on land? How did it launch into the air? And how vulnerable was it when forced to leave the safety of the sky? Each new fossil brought fresh clues, yet many answers remained frustratingly incomplete. Like every extinct animal, Nyctosaurus speaks to us only through fragments of stone, leaving science to reconstruct an entire life from scattered pieces of an ancient puzzle. Its body revealed how it flew, but its greatest mystery still remained. Why did evolution give Nyctosaurus a crest unlike anything before or since? Among all the creatures that have ever taken the skies, few possess a silhouette as instantly recognizable as Nyctosaurus. Its enormous L-shaped cranial crest rose far beyond the length of its skull, projecting upward before extending dramatically behind its head. Even after decades of research, this extraordinary structure continues to challenge everything scientists thought they understood about flying vertebrates. Why would evolution allow such an immense ornament to exist on an animal whose survival depended on efficient flight? One possibility is that the crest served as a visual display. Across the animal kingdom, extravagant structures often evolve not because they improve survival directly, but because they influence reproduction. Peacocks carry enormous tails. Deer grow towering antlers. Frigate birds inflate brilliant scarlet throat pouches. Such features are costly to maintain, yet they can dramatically increase reproductive success. Could Nyctosaurus have followed the same evolutionary path? If the crest played a role in courtship, it may have functioned as a powerful visual signal visible from extraordinary distances. Under the bright subtropical skies of the Late Cretaceous, even a subtle movement of such a massive structure could have communicated age, health, maturity, or dominance to other members of its species. Yet there's a problem. Fossils alone cannot reveal behavior. Stone preserves bones, but never the rituals that once gave them meaning. Not every scientist is convinced that the crest existed solely for display. Its extraordinary size has inspired another intriguing possibility, that it may also have influenced the animal's flight. At first, this idea seems almost impossible. A structure so large should create drag, reduce stability, and make aerial maneuvering more difficult. Yet nature often rewards designs that appear counterintuitive to human eye. Some researchers have suggested that, under specific conditions, the crest may have subtly altered airflow around the head and neck, contributing to balance during long periods of soaring. Others remain unconvinced, arguing that the available fossil evidence is simply too limited to support such a conclusion. Another mystery lies not in the bone itself, but in what may once have covered it. Fossils preserve only the hard framework of the crest. Any skin, keratin, soft tissue, or colorful ornamentation disappeared millions of years ago. It is entirely possible that the structure visible in stone represented only the foundation of something even more spectacular. If so, the living Nyctosaurus may have looked dramatically different from the fossils we display in museums today. Perhaps the greatest lesson offered by Nyctosaurus is not about the crest itself, but about the limits of our knowledge. Science is often imagined as a collection of answers, In reality, it is a process of asking better questions. Every fossil reveals something new. Yet every discovery uncovers another mystery waiting beneath the surface. The crest of Nyctosaurus reminds us that even after more than 80 million years, nature still guards some of its greatest secrets. A perfect body, an impossible crest. But survival demanded more than flight alone. To live above an ancient ocean, Nyctosaurus first had to master the hunt. Every sunrise marked the beginning of another journey across an ocean without end. There were no forests to shelter beneath, no mountain cliffs to rest upon for long. For Nyctosaurus, the sky was not simply a place to travel. It was home, hour after hour. It drifted above the warm waters of the Western Interior Seaway, reading invisible currents with astonishing precision. Every gust of wind became an opportunity. Every thermal became a staircase into the heavens. Unlike the giant predators that ruled the depth below, Nyctosaurus hunted with patience rather than power. Its sharp eyesight scanned the surface for the slightest movement, a ripple, a flash of silver, a school of fish rising too close to the light. Success depended on timing. Strike too early and the prey would vanish. Strike too late and the opportunity would disappear beneath the waves. With scarcely a movement of its wings, Nyctosaurus folded into a graceful dive. Gravity took over where muscle no longer needed to work. The distance closed in seconds. Then, at precisely the right moment, the animal skimmed across the water's surface with breathtaking precision, snatching its prey before climbing effortlessly back into the sky. It was a maneuver refined through millions of years of evolution, a balance between speed, control, and extraordinary accuracy. Yet even the skies offered no absolute safety. The ancient ocean was home to predators capable of exploiting the smallest mistake. A poorly judged ascent, an exhausted takeoff, or a moment's hesitation near the water could transform hunter into hunted. In the Late Cretaceous, survival belonged to those who made the fewest mistakes. For a creature so perfectly adapted to the open sky, land was likely a place of necessity rather than comfort. Unlike seabirds that spend much of their lives resting on cliffs or floating upon the waves, Nyctosaurus may have returned to solid ground only when it had no other choice. There, every movement became more deliberate. Wings built for soaring were far less suited to life on land. The master of the heavens suddenly became cautious beneath the pull of gravity. Exactly how Nyctosaurus reproduced remains one of the many unanswered questions preserved within the fossil record. No nest has ever been discovered with certainty. No eggs have been found that can be confidently assigned to this remarkable species. Yet its survival depended on the same timeless cycle that governs all life. Somewhere along these ancient shores, new generations must have entered a world already ruled by wind, waves, and relentless competition. Like every young Flier, a juvenile Nyctosaurus would have faced an unforgiving world. The first successful launch into the air may have determined the course of its entire life. One failed takeoff, one poorly judged landing, one encounter with a waiting predator, and its story could have ended before it had truly begun. For those that survived, however, the reward was extraordinary. An endless sky, boundless horizons, a kingdom few creatures could ever hope to master. For millions of years, Nyctosaurus belonged to the sky. Then, in a single geological instant, the sky itself began to change. For over 100 million years, the skies belonged to the Pterosaurs. Their reign endured through changing seas, drifting continents, and countless generations. But every empire, no matter how magnificent, eventually meets its final dawn. 66 million years ago, life on Earth appeared to be flourishing. The seas remained full of fish. Great marine reptiles still ruled the oceans. Forests stretched across entire continents. And high above them, pterosaurs continued to command the skies just as they had for millions of years. Nothing in the daily rhythm of life suggested that an ending was approaching. Far beyond the Earth, however, Another story had already begun. A mountain-sized asteroid had spent millions of years crossing the solar system. It carried no intention, no purpose, only momentum, drawn inexorably by gravity. Its path and Earth's future were now becoming one. Neither Nyctosaurus nor any other living creature could have sensed what was coming. When the asteroid struck the region we now know as the Yucatan Peninsula, the impact released more energy than billions of nuclear explosions combined. Within moments, forests ignited. Shock waves raced across continents. Earthquakes shook the crust. Tsunamis crossed entire oceans. But the greatest destruction was still to come. Dust, soot, and vaporized rock were hurled high into the atmosphere, forming a global veil that blocked sunlight for months, perhaps even years. Temperatures fell. Photosynthesis nearly stopped. Entire food webs began to collapse. For an animal that depended on healthy oceans and abundant fish, survival was becoming impossible. The sky that had carried Nyctosaurus for millions of years was now emptying beneath its wings. The age of Nyctosaurus came to an end with the closing chapter of the Cretaceous. Its wings no longer cast shadows across the Western Interior Seaway, and its extraordinary crest vanished from the skies forever. Yet extinction did not erase its story. It merely buried it beneath layers of stone, waiting for another civilization to uncover its existence. Every fossil is more than a fragment of bone. It is a message carried across deep time, a reminder that the natural world has always been richer, stranger, and more imaginative than we often realize. Nyctosaurus was not an evolutionary mistake. It was proof that life continually explores possibilities beyond human expectation. Perhaps the greatest lesson left by Nyctosaurus is that science is never truly finished. Every answer uncovers another question. Every discovery opens another door into Earth's forgotten past. Somewhere beneath deserts, mountains, forests, or oceans, countless stories are still waiting to be found. Although its wings vanished millions of years ago, Nyctosaurus continues to fly wherever curiosity survives. In laboratories, museums, scientific expeditions, and an imagination of everyone who dares to ask what our world once looked like. As long as we continue searching, the lost eons of Earth will never truly be lost. Thank you for joining us on this journey into one of prehistory's most extraordinary worlds. If you enjoyed this documentary and would like to explore more forgotten creatures, consider subscribing to The Lost Eon. Your support helps us continue bringing scientifically grounded, cinematic documentaries to life. If this story inspired your curiosity, leaving a like lets us know you'd like to see more adventures into Earth's distant past. And our next expedition takes us to another astonishing survivor of the Triassic, a reptile with a neck so impossibly long that it transformed its entire way of life. Join us next time as we uncover the remarkable story of Tanystropheus, the creature whose extraordinary neck became nature's perfect fishing rod. Until then, keep looking into the past, because every fossil has a story waiting to be told.